Hey guys, so we're gonna talk about our assignment 7. We're gonna go with the graphic object texture first. So let's go, and we can see there's like two graphics object created with different textures on it. So this is our class that we use where we, rather than sending colors, we're just sending textures and in the render part of it, we are just setting texture to the shader. So that's pretty much it. The initialization is the same. The only part will be just like the rendering of those, setting the context to texture and rendering those graphics objects. So that was for the first one. Let's move on to the next one. That's the graphics object color light. So in color light, we're sending with color, like we're sending material properties rather than sending colors itself. And we're setting those properties and sending them to the shader when during the render process. So let's go. So we can see there's like a blue and a red colored cubes, and as you can see, they're pretty much lighting up and shiny as well. All right, and we're just setting the light properties in the initialization and setting the spotlight in the draw scene. So that was for the second part, the color light. Let's move on to the texture light. In this one, additionally, what we've done is we have added texture plus material. So when we can set like texture and material both, and then we send them to the shader. That way, they both can be processed together. So that's our texture. Also from the last week's assignment, we were having problem with the texture. I kind of fixed it with the I kind of made it a padding in the object itself to take the input layout properly. So yeah, that's for the third one. Let's move on to the fourth one. That is the mesh texture light. So in this one, what we did was taking an array of texture, and we're taking an array of a material, and we're gonna set them. If we need to set all have the same texture, then we use this function. If we need a specific mesh having a specific texture, then we use this one. Same thing for the material. We did the changes for the color and light as well. The color has the same thing. We're setting the mesh and light as well. So we're gonna use two graphics objects. One is texture light and one is color light, to show they're working with the mesh render option. So the rendering is processed per mesh itself. So let's go. Yep, I did had it compiled first, so it's just building now. Alright. Yeah, this is one of the sample from Paint 3D. I used this FBX that was available on Paint 3D and converted to a Zool file. And we can see the texture is lighting up, two different textures on that model on two different meshes. And also, if you look at the gift box, I know it doesn't look like gift box, but it will shine every time when you see the directional light coming down on it. So that was the fourth one. As for the further work, where we need to create a two different shaders or multiple different shaders on the same object in different meshes. What I've done is I've added a shader type enum on it, so it will take an enum, and there are like 4 different types of enum that we have: shader, color, texture, color light, and texture light. That will be set on the shader base itself, so we don't need to do any changes to the shader color light other than when we are initializing or doing the constructor type. We'll just pass that type of shader itself, so it will be specific for each one: shader, color light, and texture color, texture light. And I have created a different graphics object for that. So what I've done is I have added all the properties that were on the previous ones: set, color, material, texture, and this additional we will have a shader for the mesh, and we have this different arrays for shader, texture, color, and material. And in the render part, so everything, this setting is all similar. The only difference is the render. So what we're doing is we're rendering first, and every time we're going to render the shader, I created this different function for it that renders based on different shader. So if it's a shader color, if the shader type of that base shader is shader color, it will convert that into the shader color and send the color properties. Same thing for color light, texture, and texture light. Apparently they're working. Like, I created a GAM object with that, and it is rendering and everything, but somehow the light properties are still showing up on one part. So I'm still trying to figure out how to tackle that situation. But as you can see, this is our texture light shader that has all the properties in it, and we're just passing the shader that we need to associate with the specific mesh. And we're just gonna run this real quick. In this GAM object, I only use this one object just for the reference. So yeah, as you can see, it's still lighting up the all of the areas pretty much. I don't know why, but I'm trying to test that situation. But that was my idea of how to use different shaders pretty much on the same object with different mesh. Yep, that's all. We'll see you next week.